And welcome everyone to another Smart Money Circle episode. I'm Adam Sarhan. With me today is Eric Miller, who's the chief advisor at Econologics Financial Advisors with approximately 200 million in assets under management. Eric, thank you so much for taking the time. Welcome to the Smart Money Circle.
I'm stoked to be here. Thanks, Adam. I appreciate it.
Eric, I always like to begin. Please tell us your story. You have a very interesting one, and you're doing a lot of things. You have a podcast, you have a book, you have a money management business. Before we get into all that, tell us your story and how you got to where you are today, please.
Yeah, it seems more than what it is, but really simple. I come from a blue collar background. My family was in healthcare. I was either going to be a football coach or a teacher, and then I was like, I don't know if this is really what I want to do. Always was fascinated with money and personal finances. And that's the area that I decided to get into. And ever since then, I've just absolutely loved it. I've seen what happens to people in healthcare. A lot of the people in healthcare love patients, but they're not really good with money. And I was like, that's an area where I can help. That's an area where I can help fix people, is to get them right with their money. And that's what I've been doing since probably 2007.
Wow, absolutely love it. So let's talk about your business. Please tell
Yeah.
us about your business and everything you do.
So we had the bright idea. If you go back to 2008, we had this bright idea. Let's start a financial planning company. And 2008, of course, happened, because anytime you decide to do something big, you're going to get, okay, 2008. So it was a heck of a year to ask people for money. But we said, look, we want to help people that we believe in the care that they give. And we want to make sure that they're getting the type of financial advice that's not just cookie cutter traditional financial advice. And we started working with physical therapists, and we just kind of morphed into working with veterinarians and optometrists and anyone that has a healthcare practice. We work with them, and that's our specialty. That's our niche. And we've been doing it for the last 17 years. And I absolutely love it, because I love the care that the people give. And then I love adding to them by making sure that they have some semblance of financial peace in their lives.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So I know you have a book, you have a podcast.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, please. I'm gonna have links in the description too, by the way, but please, by all means, let us know about that stuff.
So I had a client that was just check marking all the boxes. Their business was booming. They had saved, like, I don't know, like over $1 million in like a 5 year period. They paid off all of their debt. Their tax liability was low. And I turned to one of my cohorts and I was like, my God, that person is a financial beast. And from there, I was like, okay, that'd be a great title for a book, How to Become a Financial Beast. So I wrote a book, How to Become a Financial Beast. And really the purpose of it is I want to show people a couple things: that their business is an investment, and it's there to provide for their household, because that to me is what's important. I want to have financially strong and solvent households. A civilization is made up of households. And when we're doing really good as a civilization, the household is doing well. So I show people how to harness the power of their practice to build wealth, and then eventually exit out at the top of their game. And that's what the book is about.
Well, absolutely love it. So let's dive a little bit deeper there, because I think you're the first person who's put that piece together for us
Yeah.
on the show. So, financial beast. I love where that goes, and I love how you're saying it. But let's go a little bit deeper, please, to educate the audience. How do you become a financial beast, and what does that actually entail?
Yeah. So let's take a look at what, when someone thinks of a beast, okay, and not just like the terms like I see a big polar bear or something like that, but what is a beast? Someone that's dominating their environment, someone that's conquering something. That to me is like, you're a beast. I think what's the most popular YouTube channel is Mr. Beast, right? It's like, I'm conquering something. So we put that same emphasis on one's personal finances. And I want to see people that have a business that's booming. I want to see them that they have an abundance of income coming in from multiple sources, where they're free of all bad debt, where their household's protected from taxes, inflation, and lawsuits, and they are free to do whatever they want to in their life. If you can get to that kind of condition right there, you're a beast. And a beast doesn't look at like external factors. They're not, and there's a lot of them, I get it, but they're not letting the external factors dictate their outcome. That's what to me a beast actually does.
I love that. So you're basically giving people, you're empowering people, giving them control over their most valuable asset, which is their time. So
Yes.
instead of trading time for money, you're like, hey, let's get that financial freedom and get rid of the debt and have the income coming in and so on and so forth. That
Yeah,
makes sense?
absolutely. I mean, and that I think, too many of us, I think, we do look at these external factors as they're bigger than us. We can't overcome them, but something can always be done about it. And that's a mantra that we have in our office. That's a mantra we have with our clients is that I want to make sure that they don't, 99% of everyone's financial condition is an inside job. It is in your power to change it for sure.
Absolutely love it. Okay, so before we go forward, let's talk about the investments. I'm going to show you something in a second, but
Yeah.
let's talk about, I'm going to come back to that point, but let's talk about the investment side of things. I know you're in the financial planning space. How do you handle, what does a plan look like? How do you create the plan with some detail? Like someone who's not, doesn't have a financial plan, people listening
Yeah.
might not have one. Why have a plan? How do you create one? And then talk about the investment side of that piece of that puzzle, please.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty simple. I think, first off, you have to start with what the ideal would look like. I think far too many people just don't have an idea of what, like, ideally, precisely what their financial life would look like. And then from there, you can compare it to where your existing scene is. Okay. So if I want to be debt free and I have $700,000 of debt, okay, we are far away from the ideal scene. Okay. So we always start with, like, what's the ideal look like? Where are you currently? And then let's take the gradient steps. And that's what a plan does. Basically, it bridges the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. And it's a vital part of really accomplishing anything is to have that. I'm not talking about a plan that just sits on like a binder in your room that you're not working. It's something you're working on all the time, something that is consistent, that's updated, that, is kind of like your constitution for how you want your life to look like. That's what I would consider a plan to be.
I love
Um,
that. And yeah, sorry, let me jump in for a second. So, in order to get anything done, like you're here now, there's a gap between where you want to go. There's got to be a plan how to go there. So, if you're in New York, you want to go to LA, you're going to go west. How you
yeah,
get there, you got to figure that out. But at least have that plan in place. I want to be debt free. I have 700K in debt. Okay, how do I get to becoming debt free? So, that's what you're sharing with the audience. Come
that
up with a plan.
That's exactly right. And make sure, like, the goals are specific. Like, how much do you want to have in retirement? Do you want to be debt free? Do you want to be charitable and leave money to, whoever you want to? I mean, be very precise on how you do that. And most importantly, how big do you want your business to be? And make sure that it's set up to really help and aid with the achievement of your goals.
I love that. Okay, so the investment side of it, please.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my viewpoint on investing. I love Benjamin Graham, The Intelligent Investor. I don't know if you've read that book before. It's an amazing book. I would recommend any. You can buy How to Become a Financial Beast, but also read that book as well because it's an awesome book. I think most people are missing rules and guidelines when it comes to investing first and foremost. If you look at all the big institutions out there, what do they have? Financial policy. And I think that helps avoid making big mistakes when it comes to investing. That being said, we are a registered investment advisor. So of course, we like stocks and bonds and public markets, but I think it's a mistake to avoid other types of investments, alternative investments. I think it's a mistake to avoid insurance-based products, real estate, all these things. I think as long as you understand what you are investing in, the best piece of financial advice I ever heard is know what you own and why you own it. Know what you own and why you own it. And I think if people just adopted that, they would kind of get rid of some of the knucklehead stuff that people get into, And so our investment philosophy is pretty simple. I mean, we want people to be concentrated in their business, in their real estate, with their practice. And then along the way, let's build some investments outside of their practice, so that they have other income sources coming in. Then when they sell their practice, we really work on diversification at that point in time.
Wow, absolutely love it. Okay, thank you for that explanation. So going back to your point about you can figure everything out or there's always a solution to something,
Yeah.
here's what I have in my office.
you
Everything
know,
is figure outable. You can
there's no
figure it
doubt.
out.
You got
It's
to
that
figure it
simple.
out.
You
It's
can figure it
it's
out.
one of the best traits that I think human beings have is that we do have the ability, if we have willingness and belief in ourselves, to be able to figure something out. Like,
Yeah.
that we just can. So, and finances is not difficult. You just have to kind of know the game, some of the
It's so
rules.
true. Yeah, that everything is figure outable. It really changed my life when I looked at it from that point of view. It's like, oh wait, hold on a second. We can figure it out? Okay, let's go find that solution. All right. So I love this. Okay, Eric, next question for you. What are some
Yeah.
timeless lessons you've learned along the way that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that I tend to find people is that we underestimate how much we actually need to live the life that we want to live. There is a big misunderstanding, and unfortunately, it comes from our industry, because our industry tells people, "Hey, look, we do all these fancy Monte Carlo simulations, and we say, hey, just save enough in your retirement accounts so that you can replace like 60 to 70% of your current income." And I'm like, that's not good. That's probably a wrong statistic right there. So you got to make sure you don't underestimate how much you actually need in income, assets, and resources to live the life that you want to live. I think that would be one. I think another one would be just some understanding some of the basic rules of how money works. Okay. One of the things I've learned is that a household will try to spend everything that it makes and then some. That's a business, that's a household, that's a country, and $37 trillion of debt should prove that to you. But another thing is that money comes from necessity. Like if you ask people like where money comes from, most people are going to probably say a bank or a Federal Reserve or something like that. I'm like, that's not really true. Money comes from necessity and because you actually need it. Okay. So when you're looking at, calculating how much money you need to bring in, just make sure that that necessity level is there, and you try to incorporate things to, because people don't look at savings and investments as a necessity. They think it's just going to be left over. You have to incorporate that in to start. And I'll say one more thing: know where your money is going to go before it comes in. Before it comes in, because if you don't, it will tend to just get spent and go everywhere. So I think that's a really good rule that people can follow. Know where your money's going to go before it comes in.
I absolutely love it. So, okay, fantastic. Yeah. The planning to me is a superpower. Most people don't plan
Yeah,
and then they get caught up in the past and, oh my God, coulda, woulda, shoulda, and or whatever. And especially with the windfalls that you're talking about, when you exit, you sell a business, you're gonna get a
yeah,
big windfall, you get a lot of money. What do you do with it? So plan it before the money comes in, because once the money comes in, things change. So
no doubt about it. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
okay.
probably the most dangerous thing that can happen is when someone is given or has an exit of 5, 10, $15 million. Those are, ooh, you really have to be prudent about what you're doing with your money at that point.
Yeah, I always say it doesn't take a genius to spend money.
Mm-mm.
All right. So next question for you is the flip side. What are some mistakes, timeless mistakes you've seen people make, and how do you avoid them? So you learn from them.
Yeah, I think some of the biggest mistakes that I've seen people make is who they rely on their advice from, and they'll tend to just take advice from, a lot of people just look to their CPAs for financial advice. And again, I have nothing against CPAs. I love CPAs. They do a good job, but most of them are very conservative, and they kind of they look backwards as opposed to forward. And I think way too many people, especially business owners, rely upon their CPA for future financial planning. And I don't think that that's really a great idea to do so. I would say another big mistake that people make is that they really don't automate their savings and their debt reduction plans. And what I mean by that is they just make it a system. Okay. They, again, like I said before, most people, money comes in. Oh, I have the money to spend. And then they don't have a plan for it before it comes in. And really making sure that you are carving out money to go into investments and retirement accounts and debt reduction and all of those things, just kind of make it so it's automatic and systematic, is a mistake that most people don't make. And that's why, what's our savings rate in this country? It's so low, and our credit card debt's so high. It's all solvable. It's all figure outable. I think I'll
It
use that from
really is.
now on.
Yeah. Go for it. Yeah, by all means, take. It's not my line, but by all means, go for it.
Yeah.
All right, Eric. Next question for you. Let's talk about leadership. As a
Yeah.
leader, you understand you deal with leaders all the time, with these professionals, these owners, these business owners in the healthcare space.
Yeah.
What are some lessons you've learned about leadership that you'd like to share with the audience? What makes a great leader? Anywhere you want to go, please.
Yeah, I think the great leaders definitely are, number one, have willingness. And they just don't operate on just fixed ideas. Like the best leaders that I've seen are look, they have a vision, they have an idea of how they want things to be, and then they are unreasonable about that. But when it comes to listening to people, when it comes to letting people get a job done and then get the hell out of the way and finding those people that are going to do that, those are some of the best leaders that I've seen. I wish I did that better. And I think it's something that we're always trying to work on. But, certainly understanding what your role as a leader is, you're there to push purpose. You're there is to push a vision. You're there, to make sure that there's teamwork. And I think that's not taught. They don't teach in medical school. They don't teach in grade school about those things. And, some people just have to learn the school of hard knocks. I don't know if leaders are born. I think they're definitely made. So
Yeah.
those would be a couple points.
I fully agree. So I have a foundation. It's called the Happy Face Project, and the whole goal of it, Eric, as you're speaking, was reminding me: teach people those essential life skills they don't learn in the classroom. Fill that gap and focus on education. So it's ringing very, very true to me, and you've got to learn that for sure. All right, next question for you. Let's talk about your adversity. Becoming successful, you have to learn how to handle adversity. What are some obstacles you had to overcome along the way? How do you handle adversity?
Yeah, I just expect it. And here's what I mean by that. Like it would, I guess if you're Michael Jordan and everything just goes in the basket and what fun would that be? Like a game is only fun if there's like actual pushback and there's opponents and there's a payoff at the end of the day. That's what makes a game fun. So, but when you are looking to do something grand, if you're looking to do something big, I can assure you that I have a chapter in my book about this, is that you're going to get met with what we call a resistance wave. And it is like anything else, if it's not all rainbows, roses, and unicorns, you're definitely going to, have resistance. And it could come from people that you trust, that you think have your well-being in mind. It could come from, it doesn't matter where it comes from, but it is paramount that a couple of things. Number one is that resistance wave does not last forever. Okay. It tends to come in like a big wave of everything happening at once. And you're just like this big pile of what, and you're like, oh, this sucks. But it doesn't last forever. And it always leads to another plateau that you're going to get to. And that's one thing I've seen with any owner that I've ever worked with, is that the moment they start working with us, it's like something happens in the universe. A piece of equipment breaks down. They have to fire a long-term employee. 4 people just quit the other day. And I was always kind of like self-conscious about that. I was like, is it me? Like, am I causing all this? And I was like, no, this is just what happens. This universe pushes back upon people that are trying to expand. Expect it. Okay. But you are the pusher. You are the person that's driving the motorcycle down the road, not the other way around.
I love that. So even though that resistance band wave comes to you, you can push back and actually break through and get to the next level. And then there'll be another band that comes
Yeah.
afterwards, and
I don't,
the next wave, and the next
I don't
wave.
think
Yeah.
I don't think that there's an actual plateau. I just think that life if you consistently do that, you'll just reach, different levels of plateau. And when you stop, that's what happens with, I think, a lot of people, especially when they, retire or quit their job, or they quit. That's it. There's no more plateau to reach.
Understood. Yeah. And then we know what happens afterwards. Okay. So that
Yeah.
growth is really powerful. Let's final question for you. What is the best piece of advice you'd like to give the audience or your 20-year-old self?
Oh gosh. Um, Never deny yourself. Like, I think self-denial is probably one of the biggest crimes that people have. And, we all tend to just invalidate, ourselves or our thoughts or anything like that. And I guess that's one thing I've learned over time, is that I just let people are very, very open to like be self-critical of themselves, and you see it all the time. And I try to stay away from that. Obviously, you can make light of it and all that, but just try not to, invalidate who you are and the capabilities that you have. That's a good self advice that I have. When it comes to money, I would say don't necessarily take it so seriously all the time, and make sure that you do enjoy yourself with money. I've met people on both sides of the spectrum. I've met people that are just spendthrifts and they just spend everything that you give them. And then I've met the people, I'm sure you have too, that just hoard it. And like they're both miserable people. And so you really have to make sure that you enjoy yourself along the way and enjoy your money and use it to have great experiences with your friends and your family. Your life will be so much richer. And yes, you may not you maybe you'll have, 8 million as opposed to 10 million. Okay. You're still going to be much happier because of the effects you've created in your life because of that.
Eric, absolutely love it. Thank you so much for coming on the show. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you? Or if you want to just list off everything you have your website, your
Yeah.
podcast, your book, by all means.
Sure. So you can go to YouTube and Econologics Financial Advisors. That's our channel right there. You can the link how to become a financial beast. You can go to Amazon on that. As I said, our website, econologicsfinancialadvisors.com. We have some really cool assessments that you can take that will give you like a scorecard of your current financial situation without having to divulge all of your financial information. So check out our website. There's some really cool stuff on there. I think you guys would enjoy it.
Excellent. It'll be in the description in case somebody's driving or not able to listen right now. It's in the description. Feel free to click on it. And Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show. And here's to everyone becoming a financial beast. I absolutely love it.
All
Genius.
right. Appreciate it, Adam.